Hello, 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 and welcome. Have you had the fear of failing and thinking that you are not good enough or you can't do a certain thing or you can't be a certain someone? Then today we're having that conversation. Not only is it Women's History Month, and we are certainly making history day in and day out, but we're also sometimes holding back from the history that we could be making because of our fear of failing. So, welcome to the Mompreneur HQ. I am Rashida Green, the founder and CEO of Get Right Coaching and the host of this wonderful community, Mompreneur HQ, where we help moms to start, grow, and scale home based virtual businesses so that they can build the life of their dreams without neglecting themselves or their families in the process. And we do that through coaching opportunities as well as content that we provide on our pages and through community. So if you're a part of this community, thank you. I am so grateful for you being here. And feel free, if you're here watching us live, to put hashtag live in the comments. And of course, share your comments and ask your questions. And if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. And of course, do the same. Let us know what you're thinking, what your comments are in the comment area. And we would look forward to seeing them and addressing them once we are done with the show. So, yes, this is Women's History Month. I believe International Women's Day is coming up also, March 8th. So, there was a lot going on around women this month. And so, I just want to just congratulate you all for being history makers and history makers in the making, because there is someone in this group, this has got to be someone in this group who is the first in their family to finish high school, or the first in their family to go to college, or the first in their family to get a degree, or the first in their family to buy their own home, or the first in their family to have their own car, or the first in their family to be able to get a full time job that pays more than $20,000 per year. So many things that you have done as the first, either in your family, in your immediate family, or in your family abroad, in general, rather. So you are a history maker. But guess what? There's more that you are called to do that you may be kind of not doing because of your fear of failing, your fear of people seeing you fail, or your fear of not being uh, to the fullest of not performing to the fullest of your potential. And so you've kind of put things on the back burner, or have decided that, now's not the time. And I think one of the posts that I put up this week on actually Motivational Monday was quite well received, and I got some feedback, and I was glad to be able to share that, because honestly, these motivational Mondays and these tip Tuesdays, they're not just for you; they are for me too. And that's kind of how I got into business in the first place. I had a need. I didn't see that that need was being filled, and so I decided to be the one to fill it. But, Motivational Monday was, if not you, then who? If not now, when? Because a lot of times we have self-doubt that will say, "No, not me. I'm not eligible. I'm not qualified. I can't. And the truth is, you can. And sometimes you just need that extra push. And sometimes we put it off in our head, well, maybe it is me. Maybe I can do it, but not right now. Maybe I'll wait in 2 years, maybe 5 years. Oh, when the kids get older, when I'm an empty nester. We find excuses as to why we can't do the thing that we know is itching and burning in our hearts to do. Um, we just put it off. And so there is history that is not being made because we are putting it off. And also in Motivational Monday, we talked about how you're a bottleneck to someone else's blessing. because as individuals, we have been called to do certain things. If we're still here, that means we have not done the thing that we were called to do. And so if we're putting off using our skills and our talents and our expertise to help someone else to do, to explore or expand or even acknowledge their own gifts and talents, then we're holding up blessings for other people and other generations to come. Think about that. It's a lot of weight to hold on your shoulders to think that you are responsible for so many other people that you may not even know right now that will be impacted by what you do today. So that's why we're delving into the conversation again about fear of failing. And today's topic is really about ways that failure is just as important as success. So if you're just joining us, happy Women's History Month, and congratulations, you as a history maker or a history maker in the making. And we're going to go ahead and get started talking about how failure is just as important as success. I want you to think about that. How many people do you think or have you heard on interviews, right? These rich and famous, these celebrities, these one percenters. What do you think that they say? Well, I came out the gate with this wonderful project and it made me millions and I never made one mistake. Absolutely not. We have Steve Jobs working out of his garage. He didn't start out in a corner office making millions. He started out in his garage with an idea and he just ran with it. And it was a struggle, but he made it and he persevered. And as many times as he failed, he got back up. And that's what um, failure does. It kind of, I'm going to name, 6 things or 6 reasons why you need to embrace failure, because honestly, failure is how we expose ourselves to what the success will be. If we've never failed, if we've never fallen, then we don't have the experience to be able to help somebody else through their failures. And so the first thing I want to talk about is how failure is an opportunity, right? If you've never failed, you would never have realized there was another option or another way to do something. If you were doing stacking cards one on top of another horizontally and was not building that card house, you realize, oh, maybe that's not the best way to go. Maybe I should stand 2 up on its sides and then kind of stack them that way to build a house, right? You would have to failed first in order to get to that acknowledgement. So it's accepting that, one, everyone fails. This is not something just particular to you, so that you have to be like, oh, I can't do this because I'm going to fail. Oh, I don't want to try because I'm going to fail. Everyone fails. Think about when you were born. Well, maybe you might not remember when you first started to walk, but as an infant trying to learn how to walk, you may not identify it as failure when a 1-year-old is trying or a 10-month-old is trying to learn how to walk. You might not say, oh, he failed. No, you won't say that. But guess what? He didn't get it right or she didn't get it right the first time, right? That child didn't get it right the first time. But the more they fell, the more they got up, then the more that became the practice. And then they were able to successfully learn how to walk. So you can either choose to learn from your mistakes or you can waddle in your mistakes and stay stuck in them. But if you do that, that leaves you that leaves you stagnant. That leaves you in an unsuccessful state, like for perpetuity, like forever. If you choose, and because it is a choice, you can fail and choose to get up, or you can fail and stay down and be stagnant and stuck. And at that point, you have lost the privilege to complain about anything. Why? Because you gave up. You failed once or twice and decided, I'm not going to try again. When the actual answer or the actual problem that you were looking to solve was right after the fifth try, right after the fourth try, but you didn't even get that far. So make the choice to accept that failures are an opportunity to grow. Failures are an opportunity to get better. And that successful people see mistakes as an opportunity to learn and change course. So I'm not going to keep falling in the pothole that's in the same place that hasn't moved. I'm not going to keep falling in that same pothole. I'm going to learn that the next time I whiz around a corner on my bike that I have to veer left or veer right, steer right to avoid falling in the same pit. So failure is an opportunity to learn and to change course. So the way that you do that, so that when you do that, you will then see success, right? So you can take the steps to avoid falling in the same pit, the same steps or failures that tempt you to do it over and over again, or you can make the right choice and try a different way to help you to succeed. Another thing that you need to embrace about failure is failures show you your weakness. Now, if you was walking around thinking that you were, the best thing since sliced bread and never really seeing that one of your edges was missing off the bread, like you was not really the full form shape bread, like you the crust on one side of the bread was just really off because you never really looked at your weakness. You never really saw that your bread wasn't all that, right? So, you got to be able to accept and embrace that failure shows you your weakness. And once you know your weakness, what can you do? Turn it into a strength. Take your weaknesses and turn them into a strength. And you can do that by educating yourself further, by again changing from that direction that you were going. So if you were going to keep riding through the same block and you know there's a pothole, then your weakness is riding in that pothole, then to change your trajectory of or to change the route that you take would be a way to not fall into the pothole and to think about different ways outside of the box, different ways that you normally wouldn't do things would be a way to address your weakness and turn it into a strength. If it requires you to go, get further education through school or through YouTube University, or Google University, then so be it. At least you have a desire to change your current situation, to change those failures, to change those weaknesses, so that you now have a better understanding of the skills it takes to do what it is that you're trying to do, so that you no longer keep failing at the same thing over and over again. Honestly, if you can just detach yourself from the emotions of failure, because that's really what gets us is the emotions, the way we feel when we fail. We just feel so downtrodden, so hopeless, and sometimes just defeated. But if you can detach your emotions from of failure, from the act or the mistake that was made, then you can see where the leaks are in your boat and start taking steps to mend them, right? There's no need to keep riding in a boat with a hole when you can identify the hole, plug it, and ride and float versus sink, right? Another thing that we want to embrace about failure is that it makes us resilient. I mean, that is definitely one thing that failure, when we get up from failure, makes us, and it makes us resilient. One big lesson from trying and failing is finding out you can get right back up again and keep going. You can admit that you tried it and it failed, because they sometimes they say don't knock it till you try it, right? So you can try it and it fails, um, and you can try it again and it fails again. But if you use what you learned from that failure, from that mistake, to build a better strategy to reach the goal that you're trying to reach, then that is a huge life lesson that you've overcome. And now you're resilient, and you're more persistent and more persevering. And you now are not so, I want to say, like a soft-boiled egg. It's not easily moved by failure anymore, because you've done that. You've been there, you've done that, and you persevered beyond the mistake. You've learned the lesson, and now you are better for it. So, if you're just joining us, we are going over some things. Um, we're going over some things that you should embrace about failure, because failure is just as important as success. And we talked about how failure, um, is is an opportunity. We talked about how failure reveals your weaknesses, and we also talked about how failure will make you resilient. But now we're going to talk about how failure will make you innovative, right? It will make you innovate, because now you have to really think about, what am I going to do next? Now we're going to have to think about thinking outside of the box. What different strategy can I use? Instead of using a peg square, can I use a circle square? The circle peg. A square peg, can I use a circle peg? So now you have to come up with different strategies, and you have to see risk in a different way. If you're not willing to take any risk at all, life will be very boring. Risk is inevitable in business and entrepreneurship. And so, if you're looking to take your business to the next level, you have to be willing to take some risks. Whether it's the color of your color and your branding. I will tell you, I don't do red. But if it so happens that red is the color for the particular product that I'm putting out, just like orange is a color that makes you hungry, they say. So a food company might want to have orange as one of their brand colors. So there are certain color strategy. And although it might not be your favorite color might be purple. Like mine is purple. Um, but you may have to go with something else, because purple is not ideal for your business strategy. So, it's just risk. Sometimes you might think, I'm not an ads person. I don't do ads. I do organic strategies only. Well, while organic strategies can take you far, maybe ads would take you farther. So that's something that you might have to consider. It's a different strategy. It may be a risk, but if you're not afraid to fail, you're more likely to try bold strategies. And who knows, you might stumble onto something big. You might just hit the payload, because now you've stepped out of your comfort zone. Now you've thought beyond yourself. You become innovative. You become open to other ideas and strategies. You gave it a try. You took that risk. And now you've gone beyond what you would have accomplished just thinking the way you've been thinking. So failure can make you innovative, or can make you innovate. Another is that failure reminds you that you're not alone. I mentioned this earlier, that Everyone makes a mistake. Everyone has failed at least once. And at least once is an understatement, right? Everyone has failed. But failure can make you a better person. And accepting failure as part of life will make you more empathetic and less judgmental of others. Because the truth is, sometimes we don't know how to um, grace a person. You know, you make a mistake and it's like you are nailed to the wall. And the truth is, everyone makes mistakes. And if you acknowledge that this is part of life and that everyone makes a mistake, then you would be less inclined to like really go off and start firing people because they made a mistake. Now, of course, there are some costly mistakes in life and in business um, that you definitely should be concerned about and watchful of, and they should definitely have consequences. But consider this: what if the shoe was on the other foot and you made the mistake? Would you want somebody to grace you? Would you want somebody to say, you know what, that was a huge mistake, or that was a mistake, and I understand that, and that was a mistake. I don't appreciate the mistake, but it happened. Here's what we can do to move on, to move forward, to do better. Would you prefer that or someone just firing you because you made one mistake? So, failure reminds us that we are not alone, that we are, and it also reminds us that we are not perfect. Okay. But you'll be more likely to help other people. And see, that's one of the things also, as a for some reason I just have this teaching spirit on me. But when you see someone not doing the right thing, sometimes it's best for you to help them to do the right thing. Give them the direction that they need. Help them to understand what it is that they should be doing or could be doing to make sure that they don't make that same mistake. And in return, you will be more open to asking and receiving help that you need. So it's really a reciprocal type of thing. If you acknowledge that you're not alone, if you acknowledge that you're not perfect, if you acknowledge that everybody makes mistakes, life can be so much easier, because the truth is there is no one who is perfect. But it is your responsibility in how you respond to the mistakes that others make, as well as the mistakes you make. When you make a mistake, your next best thing is to just go ahead and correct the mistake, learn from the mistake, and do better next time. So why not grace a person to be able to do that very same thing, to make that mistake, acknowledge the mistake, correct the mistake, and not make that same mistake again. So that one, with that point, actually hit a little home for me, because I'm not perfect either, right? So I make mistakes, and when you make a mistake, you surely don't expect to be fired just because you make a mistake. um but sometimes that's the case. That's the case. And guess what? It becomes a failure on your part, and guess what, you learn from it and you move on, right? And the last point that I wanted to make about failure is that failure will make you kinder to yourself. You got to grace yourself. And that's because you have got to know that you are not perfect. And so when you acknowledge that you make mistakes, hey, I'm human. I make mistakes. You're kinder. But if you think that you're infallible, or that you don't make mistakes, that you can't do anything wrong, that you're perfect, then you're always going to be hard on yourself. You're always going to have this level and this standard that is so high that every time you make a mistake, it becomes so devastating. It becomes such a hard blow to your ego and to yourself, that you kind of, that you don't really do get everything that you want to get out of life, because you're thinking about all the things that you can't control, but you think you do control. So that is um that is definitely one of the things that I would say would need to be recognized when looking at mistakes and looking at failures. You'll be less of a perfectionist, and you'll be less prone to self-doubt, because you if you're always self-doubting, then you take less risk, you take less steps, and you again become stagnant. And that in turn will build your self-confidence and make you more likely to succeed, because you're less prone to self-doubt. You allow yourself that grace. So what I would say from today's lesson is to embrace failure, learn from it, and use it as a stepping stone to success, because you, my friend, have more in you. You can give more, you can do more, you can be more. And so I don't want you to not do the things that you have burning in your heart to do, that you want to do for your family, and that you want to do to create generational wealth, so that it doesn't stop with just you, that it may not even stop with just your children, but can continue on for your grandchildren and your grandchildren's children. But the thing is, you have to be willing to fail. You have to start. You can't fail if you never start. And if you never start, you can't fail. So I need you to consider that that failure is just as important as success. So if you have some success goals that you are aiming to reach in 2022, 2023, within the next year, then consider giving me scheduling a clarity call with me at www.themompreneurhq.com/clarity dash call, so that we can get an idea, so I can get an idea of what your business is, what your business goals are, and what it is that you need to take your business to the next level, and also to find out if we're a good fit to work together. These calls are only 20 minutes. Yeah, these calls are only 20 minutes, but so much can be learned in a 20-minute conversation. And but if you're too scared to book a call, or you're too scared that I might think that, oh, you should be further along, or why are you calling me with this issue? You should know this already. Let me tell you, that ain't me. That is not how that conversation will go. I want you to succeed, because you are a history maker in the making. You just have to get to moving. Don't be stagnant. Don't be still. Don't be um, don't be so caught up in failure that you miss success, because ultimately you are in control of your destiny. And if not you, then who? If not now, when? Thank you for staying tuned for today's episode of Mom Live, where we come to you every Wednesday weekly at 2 p.m. Sometimes it's just me. Sometimes we have special guests. But either way, I want you to stay tuned. Come in live if you can. And if not, definitely catch the replay. Put your comments in the field. Let me know what you thought about today's episode. And if you think that today or any of our content is helpful to you and maybe helpful to a business bestie, why don't you invite your friends to the group so that they also can get this information for themselves? Well, it has been my pleasure to be with you on today, and until next time.